You've probably heard that masturbating is totally normal, right? But what if you can't stop? At what point does it become a dangerous trap for your mind? And what exactly happens in your brain every time you do it? The answers may just change your perspective forever. Welcome back to the channel where we dive deep into the subtle truths of human behavior and self-mastery. If you're new here, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. We're all about helping you grow stronger in mind and character. Today, we're tackling a topic that's both familiar and controversial: masturbation, something that seems harmless but may hide deeper risks. How many times a day is too much? When does it become an addiction? And why should you consider quitting today? I must admit the thumbnail might have been a bit exaggerated, but it had to be, because this is a 21st century challenge that's silently draining the willpower of countless young people and adults alike. In this video, you'll discover what really happens inside your brain, both from a scientific and a Stoic philosophical perspective, and most importantly, how to take back control with clarity and strength. So let's begin. But before we dive in, let's take a step back to the present. Modern medicine claims that masturbation is normal, even seen in dogs and other mammals. But is that the whole story? Previously, we questioned whether masturbation is truly harmless, or if it might be silently draining your strength and willpower. Now let's dive deeper and uncover the darker truth behind this seemingly innocent act. In reality, masturbation doesn't just affect you physically. It can gradually lead to emotional burnout and the breakdown of relationships. Many find themselves unable to stop, becoming slaves to their impulses, victims of a growing lack of control. This often leads to dangerous behaviors, visiting prostitutes, engaging in casual sex, or, as we discussed in a previous video, getting consumed by pornography. Why does this happen? Because the addiction starts chemically in the brain. Each time you masturbate, your brain releases dopamine, the feel-good hormone. But over time, your brain builds tolerance and craves more dopamine to achieve the same level of pleasure. And so, the cycle begins. A relentless quest to repeat the behavior over and over. Eventually, your brain recognizes the dopamine overload and begins blocking dopamine receptors in self-defense. As a result, the pleasure disappears too, and you're left feeling frustrated, empty, and disconnected. It's the same spiral seen in smokers, alcoholics, or those who binge eat sweets until they're sick. So, where does Stoicism come in? Ancient Stoic masters like Seneca, Marcus Aurelius, and Epictetus taught us the art of self-restraint and emotional clarity. To them, masturbation wasn't just a physical urge, it was a moment to practice self-mastery and cultivate inner discipline. Epictetus famously said, "It is not nights of pleasure but self-control that distinguish a good man." The Stoics didn't advocate for repression but for conscious discipline, the ability to feel desire yet remain in command of it. That's true freedom, being the master of your urges, not their prisoner. Previously, we explored how the Stoics saw pleasure not as something to suppress, but as a test of our ability to master ourselves. Now let's dive deeper into why giving in to overpowering desires, like compulsive masturbation, can pull us further from inner peace. From a Stoic standpoint, every action we take carries consequences, not just for ourselves, but for the natural balance of the universe. When we surrender to intense cravings like excessive self-pleasure, we begin to drift away from the harmony that Stoicism holds dear. We stop being the commander of our own soul and instead become prisoners of our own desires. What happens next? We get swept into an emotional storm where guilt, shame, and deep dissatisfaction creep in and refuse to leave. The Stoics taught us that the answer lies not in repression, but in introspection and regulation. When we consciously face our impulses, we gain the strength to manage them constructively. True satisfaction, according to Stoic philosophy, isn't found in fleeting pleasure. It's found in self-mastery, in finding joy in what is simple, virtuous, and true to our core values. Let me share a true story. I know someone who struggled with compulsive masturbation. He used it as a short-term escape, but every act left him feeling worse than before, disconnected and drained. That changed when he discovered Stoic teachings. Through mindful reflection and daily practice of self-control, he transformed. Instead of avoiding his feelings, he learned to observe them, confront them, and grow from them. Today, he lives a more grounded, peaceful life, not because his urges disappeared, but because he's no longer controlled by them. He found that true joy lies not in indulgence, but in discipline, in aligning with his higher values. Every time we give in to fleeting temptation, we stray further from the path of purpose. Compulsive masturbation in particular becomes a barrier to inner clarity, robbing us of the serenity that comes from balance and self-respect. But through meditation and mindfulness, we can begin rebuilding that inner calm, one thought, one breath at a time. As we just discussed, giving in to intense desire weakens our inner balance and disconnects us from ourselves. Now let's take a deeper look at one of the most deceptive players in this story: dopamine, the brain chemical behind our moments of pleasure and our downfall. Dopamine is a powerful neurotransmitter responsible for triggering feelings of reward. It gives us that brief sense of calm, satisfaction, and relief. But here's what many don't realize: the brain is a fast learner. When you masturbate and experience a surge of pleasure, dopamine floods your system. But next time, to get the same level of satisfaction, your brain will demand even more dopamine. Just like a smoker who needs more cigarettes to get the same high, you'll find yourself needing to masturbate more often, more intensely, and that's where the silent trap begins. As your brain detects this dopamine overload, it tries to defend itself by blocking or reducing its dopamine receptors. What happens then? You perform the same action, masturbation, but you no longer feel the same joy. Instead, you feel frustrated, disappointed, even more hollow than before. This is the addiction loop, just like with alcohol, overeating, or scrolling endlessly through your phone. You're chasing a feeling that's slipping further and further away while the damage silently builds up inside. Now you might ask, how do I break free? According to the Stoics, the answer isn't to demonize pleasure, but to reclaim your power through awareness and self-discipline. Stoicism doesn't deny human desire, but it reminds us that we possess reason, and reason is the compass that leads us out of the storm. Continuing from what we've just explored, Stoicism isn't about suppressing emotions or becoming cold-hearted. On the contrary, it's a call to awareness, self-mastery, and intentional living. A call to rise above our instincts and choose conscious action. Through the practices of meditation, mindfulness, and honest self-observation, we can begin to reclaim control over our impulses. When we face our desires rather than flee from or indulge them, we start walking the path of true freedom. Instead of seeking pleasure in fleeting moments of release, the Stoics found deep and lasting satisfaction in inner peace. They didn't deny emotions, they learned to direct them with clarity and reason. A man I know, once caught in the loop of compulsive masturbation, told me, "I used to feel hollow every time I gave in. But when I started observing myself honestly, I realized I wasn't lacking emotion, I was lacking connection with myself." He didn't become some emotionless monk. He simply became someone who knew when to stop and why to stop. That's the power of self-awareness, something Stoicism has always championed. We weren't born to be slaves to emotion. We were born to be masters of ourselves. And you can begin that journey today, right now. pause, breathe, notice your urge. Then respond not with impulse, but with intention. If this video resonated with you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And subscribe to our channel for more insights on living a life rooted in calm, strength, and self-mastery. Thanks for watching. And remember, clarity, discipline, and inner peace. This is where real freedom begins.